Good morning, Hamilton. Happy Thursday, November 19th, 2020. Mrs. Cashman and I are back in our virtual studios. We're all home today. Some of you are Zooming with us, some of you aren't Zooming with us later, but we're all learning at our house today. How exciting. Mrs.
Yeah,
Cashman,
and
how's it
don't
going this week for you?
it's not too bad, like actually on Tuesday, I had a couple more kids show up, so I was very proud of them for making sure they were responsible and coming to their Zoom. So I hope that today I see all my B kiddos getting on that Zoom this morning.
I had a full class on Tuesday.
Good for you, Mr. Slusser.
I was really lucky. So we were rocking it in my A group. I'm hoping the B kids show up just like my A kids did. So
Absolutely. And if you are not Zooming with your teacher today, please remember to get on Seesaw and complete all of that work and make sure that you're doing your very best job being the scholars that we know you can be.
absolutely. Well, Mrs. Cashman, I'm gonna update you on my famished status.
Oh,
So I have to admit, Tuesday was a really good day for me. I was able to control my cravings and not eat all a day Tuesday. Yesterday, I guess I did okay yesterday. What helped was I did my run in the middle of the day. So I had to really convince myself not to eat a lot before I went for my run, or I would have been sick in my run.
right. That's not fun.
But today is a rest day for me, so it's going to be a true test again today. I control my cravings.
I
can
know.
make sure that even though I'm feeling a little famished and hungry and thinking about Thanksgiving 1 week from today, thinking about all that good food, I got to still control my cravings. So I'm going to, even if I'm feeling famished.
I can't believe it's 1 week from today. That's crazy you say that because it's so
1
true.
week from today, it's Thanksgiving. It is hard to believe. Where is November going?
Just blink of an eye.
Blink of an eye. And this schedule doesn't help us when we are school for a little, home for a little, and
throws us off.
Everything in between.
Yeah. Well, speaking of today, we don't have any birthdays for today at Hamilton, but Mr. Slusser and I thought it would be a good time to start going over some of the birthdays that'll happen over break, and then tomorrow we'll announce the rest of the birthdays happening over break. So I would like to wish a happy birthday on November 21st to Addie from my class.
Happy birthday. Also, I'd like to give a happy birthday to Mr. Azarian, who is in Miss Moyer's 5th grade class. His birthday is also on the 21st.
And on the 22nd, a happy birthday to Divya in Miss Braille's 2nd grade, also a past Mrs. Cashman guy.
Happy birthday to Heaven. She is one of our at-home learning heroes this year. Her birthday is on the 22nd.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, also on the 22nd is Ziana from Mrs. Morgan's 3rd grade. So happy birthday over break to all of those kiddos.
What an awesome time to have a birthday.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, today, Mr. Slusser and I would like to talk about somebody who is actually sort of a famous person that came from, of all places. Mr. Slusser, do you know where this person came from? Tell these kids.
Well, oddly enough, he is known for his time here in Carlisle. He spent a lot of time here in Carlisle. In fact, he spent most of his life here in Carlisle. But he didn't come from Carlisle. He wasn't born in Carlisle. We're talking about a gentleman named Jim Thorpe. And actually, that's not even his real name. His real name is not even Jim Thorpe. The reason he has the name Jim Thorpe is because he was given that name when he came to Carlisle and was sent to the Carlisle Indian School. But Jim Thorpe is actually a Native American who was sent here from his home tribe to attend the Carlisle Indian School. And when he came here, he got the name Jim Thorpe.
And hopefully, as we talk a little bit about him today, they'll find out where he was actually from. But yes, what I was getting Mr. Slusser to tell us is that he was known for his time in Carlisle, but not where he was from, which is sort of a very important part of history, right, Mr. Slusser?
It is a very important part of history. In fact, a lot of people that came with Jim Thorpe to Carlisle and attended the Carlisle Indian School they were not born here in Carlisle. They did not really want to be here in Carlisle. They were almost forced and kind of a little bit tricked into coming to Carlisle. A by the government of our country. So but they were all from their Native American tribes, and they're all Native American villages, and they were sent to Carlisle.
And this is one of those important times, Hamilton, when sometimes history is not kind and not always nice. And the most important thing we can take from that is we can learn about this and we can think like, okay, how can we be better? How can we treat people better? How can we be kinder? How can we respect and honor all cultures that are different from what we might be or we might believe at our homes? How can we respect all cultures and not just our own? So that's a very important thing to remember.
Because what Mrs. Cashman is talking about is she's talking about kids being kind of torn away from their families and ripped apart from their families and sent to the Carlisle, and I already said it, the Carlisle Indian School. And this was a school where the government of the United States was trying to teach Native Americans how to live like what we consider now like white people. It's what they called it, the white man's way. And they were trying to teach them how to live like the white man and take care of their house and their responsibilities and their chores and go to work like the white man did. And Native Americans did not live like that. Native Americans liked to use the resources around them. They lived in teepees or in their wigwams, and those were made from the trees and the natural resources around them. They used the buckskin clothing from the animals. They did not live like the white men and women did. And they were sent to the Indian school to learn that. And when they were sent to the Indian school to learn that, a lot of their Native American past and history was taken from them, including, like Jim Thorpe, his Native American name. And that's how he got the name Jim Thorpe.
Which is why, like I said, this is what makes it so important. Instead of looking at other cultures and saying, I need to make these people be like me. Instead, we need to respect what they believe and what their culture is. And we can learn all how to live together and respect each other in that way.
Right, and so I was telling Mrs. Yeah, go ahead. I
have a picture actually that I want to share with them.
That'd be awesome.
Of Jim Thorpe and what he looked like at the time he was at what they called the Carlisle Indian School. And
if you notice, he's an incredible athlete. In fact, he represented the United States in the Olympics. And he was a Native American who, I mean, you can kind of think about the Indian school kind of in a good way in this regard, because if he was never sent to the Indian school, he would have never went to the Olympics and represented the United States. Now, the Indian school has a lot of things that are really questionable and iffy, but this might be a positive outcome of the Indian school.
Well, and I think that whatever the history may be, Carlisle is proud that he, is a representative of that and the things that he did. And we can see this C right here on his uniform stands for
Carlisle.
So where we live. And this was a picture of the track team also that he was on in school. So we also have a little bit to share with you today, a little more about Jim Thorpe. We have some facts about him that we can share. And just really so you can learn some things about someone who is known for his time in Carlisle. So here's Jim Thorpe. It says, many athletes are good at one sport. It's rare, however, for an athlete to be very good at more than one sport. Jim Thorpe was one of those athletes. He was a rare person who excelled in both baseball and football and won Olympic medals for track. So imagine that. He could do a lot of different sports. So it says Jim Thorpe. So here's where we find out where he was actually from and what his real name was. So Jim Thorpe was born in 1888 in Oklahoma on Sac and Fox Indian land. His given name was Watho Hook, which meant bright path. Or maybe Watho Huck, I should try that again probably, which meant bright path. His start as an athlete began in the schoolyards of his childhood. He often ran the 20 miles from school to his home. While attending the Carlisle Indian School in Pennsylvania, Thorpe happened to pass some students who were practicing track. Time and again, he watched as students failed to make the high jump. Even though he was dressed in overalls, Thorpe gave it a shot, and he cleared the bar.
Wow, so cool.
Yeah. In 1912, Thorpe competed in the Stockholm Olympics, where he won medals. He won the pentathlon, came in 7th in the long jump, and set a world record in the decathlon. He met the King of Sweden, who told him he was the greatest athlete in the world. He returned to the United States and was greeted with a ticker tape parade in New York City. So think about that. And here's a little challenge for you, Hamilton. I want you to try to find out what does it mean if you're in a pentathlon and a decathlon. Let's see if they can figure that out. If you know any Greek, it really helps you to know some of those word parts that are there. So I want you guys to think about that. And we'll talk a little more about it tomorrow. We'll give you the answer, but I want you guys to see if you can find that out today. So we will hear a little bit more about him tomorrow.
And that's what I was going to say. I think there's so much we could spend talking about Jim Thorpe because he's so fascinating, and really the Indian school in general. There's so much to say. But like Mrs. Cashman just got done saying, one of the hardest things about the Indian school and the Native Americans was lack of communication. They just weren't able to understand each other. So Mrs. Cashman and I are having these segments on Cougar Vision so that we can help you to understand different cultures and different people, so that we can start to respect them, unlike they did in the past. So we are trying to help you and hopefully teach you a little bit about the history in the process.
Absolutely. All right, Hamilton, that wraps it up for today. Go ahead and check out that Zoom with your teacher. Go ahead and make sure that you're getting your seesaw work if you're a Group A student. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye, Hamilton.
Bye,
See ya.
guys.